This is the G Podcast with your host, Tommy B.
Welcome to episode 182 of This is the G Podcast. Yes, y'all. What's up? Ain't nothing gonna get us down. We here. Each week we do news, politics, pop culture, and that piping hot tea from the one and only Tonya B. And I know some of y'all on the ledge, y'all, but come on back. We got to talk about it. The Supreme Court rejects affirmative action at colleges as unconstitutional. They also strike down Biden's student loan forgiveness program. And they went for the trifecta, the hat trick, and sided with an anti-LGBTQ web designer. I know y'all on the ledge. Come on back. We still got to talk about it. Mike will cover it. The Newsmaker crew with Talib is in the building. Plus, political analyst Harold Michael Harvey will join us for more insight toward the end of the show from HaroldMichaelHarvey.com. We appreciate that. And of course, Tonya B. Tonya B has the tea, just a couple of cups of tea this week. And I'll let you know what I'm watching too. Good stuff. Extraction 2, The Perfect Match, and Shy's back. So I'll let you know about that. Thank you for joining us as always. Appreciate you coming in this week, and let's get into it. Mike, what you got?
News team, assemble!
It's time for the Week in News with Syracuse Mike.
The U.S. Supreme Court rejected a legal theory that argued that state legislatures have the authority to set election rules with little oversight from state courts. The idea by primarily Republican supporters would make it easy for lawmakers to control elections. By a 6-3 vote, the court rejected an odd theory in a case about North Carolina's congressional map. White House Principal Deputy Secretary Olivia Dalton.
We're pleased that the Supreme Court rejected the extreme legal theory presented in this case, which would have interfered with state governments, which would have opened the door for politicians to undermine the will of the people, and would have threatened the freedom of all Americans to have their voices heard at the ballot box.
The court's decision maintains the power of state courts to review election laws while urging federal courts to, quote, not abandon their own duty to exercise judicial review. Former President Obama acknowledged the decision on his Twitter account and thanked his former Attorney General Eric Holder for helping to make this happen. Now we get to hear it.
This is secret information. Look at this.
That's former President Trump on tape in 2021, apparently showing off a classified document. It's one of the more powerful pieces of evidence the special counsel has against Trump. In a 6-3 decision, the Supreme Court ruled against the use of race-conscious admissions, finding affirmative action programs at the University of North Carolina and Harvard University are a violation of the 14th Amendment's Equal Protection Clause. In a majority opinion, Chief Justice John Roberts railed against UNC and Harvard for conducting programs that he stated unavoidably employ race in a negative manner and involve racial stereotyping. However, he carved out an exception: military schools. That exception was noted by the court's newest justice, Ketanji Brown Jackson. As part of her dissent, she said the racial diversity in higher education is only worth potentially preserving insofar as it might be needed to prepare Black Americans and other underrepresented minorities for success in the bunker, not the boardroom. But Justice Clarence Thomas, a conservative, accused Justice Jackson of using her broad observations about statistical relationships between race and select measures of health, wealth, and well-being to label all blacks as victims. President Biden also disagreed with the court's decision.
We need a higher education system that works for everyone, from Appalachia to Atlanta and to far beyond. We can and must do better, and we will.
The president suggested that institutions should not abandon their commitment to ensure diversity, proposing new standards where colleges take into account adversities students have overcome. Derek Johnson, national president of the NAACP, said schools will now become less diverse.
This is a sad day for the future of this nation.
Gerald Griggs, Georgia's NAACP president, called the Supreme Court's ruling a very bad decision. He said it sets us back in the civil rights generation. But Mitch McConnell, the Republican Senate minority leader, commented that the ruling makes it clear that colleges may not continue discriminating against bright and ambitious students based on the color of their skin. As predicted, the Supreme Court blocked President Biden's student loan forgiveness program. The president announced at the White House Friday that he has a new plan.
Today's decision has closed one path. Now we're going to pursue another.
The new plan could help people who have problems resuming payments that were suspended because of the pandemic.
Monthly payments will be due. Bills will not go out and interest will be accruing. And during this period, if you can pay your monthly bills, you should. But if you cannot, if you miss payments, this on-ramp will temporarily remove the threat of default or having your credit harmed.
Mr. Biden plans to use the Higher Education Act to allow the Department of Education to release and waive loans. He also said his administration could create a ramp repayment program to help borrowers struggling to pay their loans. If you have a student loan, those payments will resume in October. The Supreme Court also ruled that a Christian web designer has a First Amendment right to refuse to create websites for same-sex weddings. The court's 3 liberal justices dissented on that ruling, as they did on the student loan decision.
Appreciate you, Mike, for the headlines. Newsmaker crew is here. Yes. Give it up for the one and only Talib Shabazz in the building. People are still reeling from his hip-hop top 5 from last week. Yes.
You know, I've actually gotten some calls about that. You know?
Oh, yeah? Oh, yeah? I did, too. Your commercial ass. What you doing? That's what they say to me.
Right, yeah.
Appreciate you, Talib, one and only. Vi's on the road this week, the country commentator. He'll be back next week. But, man, everybody is, like, mad this week. The Supreme Court pissed everybody off, man, as we tape episode 182, man. It's crazy to leave. What's even crazier about this is the 4th of July.
Yeah. Right. Here we are.
Framed against the 4th of July. It's just the irony of all this, man. But let me just kind of go through it, frame it real quick.
Yeah.
Of course, for those of you who've been under a rock, man, college universities can no longer use race as a factor in admissions, but they can use someone's story about their race in context, with admission, like in an essay. Biden's student loan plan was just blown up. A few takeaways from that, too, and it's from The Hill, online, The Hill. And it is a hit, a major hit, man, to the Biden camp, because it was a campaign promise.
Exactly.
So it's a hit. The other thing, the Supreme Court has really been focusing on this major questions doctrine against the executive branch.
Yes.
And that says the Congress must give direct authorization for the executive branch to implement these kind of policies. So again, they want to pass this to Congress and not have these decisions pushed on to SCOTUS.
Yeah.
You got kids out there, you got borrowers, man, who remain stuck in heavy debt. I'll get to that in a minute. Yeah. And it's going to lead to a big campaign issue in 2024, man.
Truly.
The other thing is Supreme Court ruled in favor of this web developer designer who did not want to create websites for same-sex weddings. And the only thing that really positive came out of the week out of SCOTUS, if you're liberal-minded, the one positive was the 6-3 vote that stopped these local legislators from trying to take over voting. That was the one thing, that was that's really kind of saved democracy. So, if they had gone for that, I don't know.
Yeah, it would have been a what do they call it? De facto. It would have been a trifecta. If they had not sided the way they did about the gerrymandering.
I agree. I agree. But I'll start with you, Talib. Your thoughts, man, on all this. What are your thoughts?
Well, as a representative of the Black delegate, we would like to exchange Clarence Thomas for anyone else.
Send his ass, trade him. He's already been traded.
Yeah. It's funny to me. Even when, I remember, I was old enough to remember when Clarence Thomas was getting nominated for the Supreme Court. And we're going through the whole Anita Hill scandal and all this other stuff. And I can remember saying then that he just seems like a bitter individual. And then I had a chance to check out some of the documentary about Clarence Thomas. that did discuss, his time at Harvard or Yale, whatever school it was that he went to.
I think it was Yale. Pretty sure it was Yale. Yeah. I'll look that up.
Then, he got treated like every other black or, non-white that went there, and was questioned about, his merit on being a student. And instead of rising to the challenge, and using that in a positive way to strengthen his own, not only self-image, self-esteem, but, to do what he came there to do, was get the education. It seems like he allowed it to change him, and to someone that is not in favor of this affirmative action because of how he personally felt on campus. And it's I just don't understand that. Like, if you know what you went through, you had the merit to be in the school. You got to the school based upon a program that's designed to not accept, just any old thing. It was designed for people who deserve to be there to have the ability to compete when we're only 13% of the population. So, it's so, to me, the whole, just his stance and his dissent on those two issues, I just have to really be like, man, where was your mother? You know what I mean? Like, you needed a hug.
Let me say, man, it's interesting you bring that up because I was watching. They were talking to classmates, people who knew him, and one of the guys said that when he got his Yale degree, he put a 10-cent price tag on it because of his problems or his psychological issues with affirmative action.
Right. Yeah.
He said and he was telling him. Well, he asked him, he said, why you put 10 cents on this degree? And he said, because that's what it's worth to me.
Right.
Because he was so pissed off, but again, you look at all the situations he went into, his clerkship, all that, it was all based on affirmative action.
Yeah.
Every opportunity, even when it came down to him being chosen for the court, which was, H.W. Bush, and H.W. Bush is making, the speech and saying, well, we didn't choose him, for his race because he was, replacing, a great man,
right?
Thurgood Marshall, or, so my point is, it's like he felt the weight. He felt a weight. A lot of people just say, hey, I'm in here now. I'm just going to do my thing.
Right.
It was like Uncle Ruckus.
Yes.
He's just like, I'm a bitch about it. I'm going to make your life miserable. I'm going to make everybody's life miserable. And I just want to be given the chance. And he got the chance, dog. He just went in. And I think it's just, I don't even want to say it's sad. It's sad for us because he's living his best life now. He getting pimped out by the Federalist Society, and all these folks are paying for his trips, his everything,
his entire lifestyle.
He has no credibility. He has no credibility to me at all.
Honestly, and that's what and it begs to a whole different problem, and the problem that I see is of self-esteem.
Yes.
If he had better self-esteem, if he had a better way of looking at himself, then he would have seen where he was deserving of these situations. You work hard to put yourself there, and that's something that shouldn't be taken away from you.
So you're saying Clarence Thomas need a hug?
He needs a hug.
Get that nigga a hug.
So come on, he needs a mother love.
I hate to say that. He's a SCOTUS. Right. He's Supreme Court justice, but man, lost respect, man.
Right. And so okay, moving past Clarence Thomas.
Yeah, please, let's do it.
Even if he had this, even if he had voted in favor of those two, the two issues at the Supreme Court that he was facing, it would have still only been 5-4.
Yeah.
So let's. I mean, I know that you can't expect Kavanaugh to vote in favor of liberal policies. Gorsh, of course, you know he's not going to do it. Alito, definitely not.
Oh, but, definitely not.
You know, and it's just that at what point do we take a look at the way that the Supreme Court has been, the rules of the Supreme Court and how they have basically been or created this kind of untouchable scenario for them, you know, and, you know, maybe at the beginning, these were trustworthy people, you know, but money has corrupted everything. Once money, legal bribery was established for, you know, the politicians, you know, everybody has been corrupted, you know, and it's across the board. You know, Nancy Pelosi. Okay, let's talk about the student loan thing. One of the main things that they used to rally against the student loan elimination was that Nancy Pelosi said that Congress has the ability to do something like this. Yeah. So, you know, my thing is, did Joe Biden really want to did he really have a policy that he wanted to institute? Is there really something that he wanted to leave? Because
that's the question.
You've been so milquetoast about all of these things that you said you wanted to do.
Yeah. Let me say this, man, and you're pointing out one of the things that the justices put in. This is what they were talking about. You know, the major questions doctrine. You know, that says Congress must really have direct authorization. Right. You know, to do something like this. But let me give you a couple of points, man. And I'm just gonna look at the week all encompassing. Okay. Sure. You know, and I posted this on IG. It's not like y'all didn't see this coming, man.
Right.
Look, it started. I mean, it's always been going on. I mean, conservatives have always been chipping away slowly. You know, they wanted to go after Roe v. Wade. Always. I mean, all these issues are issues that have been the holy grails for conservatives. Okay. So I was talking about this on IG, man, on Instagram. And I said, it's not like we didn't know it was coming. One. And it started the justice thing started when Obama lost that opportunity to put Merrick Garland in. Right. When Mitch McConnell took that away and we really didn't fight the good fight. Right. And so it led to Gorsuch, you know, and then Trump put in, you know, of course he put in Gorsuch. Right. He put in Brett Kavanaugh. Right. He put in Amy Coney Barrett. Mm-hmm. So this dude put 3, you know, when somebody like 45 puts in 3 Supreme Court justices, how can you not know that we'd have a week like this? Right. You know, it was like, what do you say? Everything's eventual. Yes. You know, it's just like shit. It was just a matter of time. Okay. Yes. But and this says to everybody, and you and I were having this conversation off mic about elections. Elections have consequences. True. When you sit in a barbershop and we talking voting and say, man, I don't hear about that voting shit. Man, I ain't gonna vote. And you know, the brother's giving me 10 reasons why they won't vote. You know, hey, elections have consequences, you know, and you look at Mississippi, you look at Alabama, look at a lot of these states with 20-30% turnout, you know, 20% black turnout, you know, I mean, but I will say this, and I'm not going to go in too hard. You know, somebody told me, said, you know, let it cool off a little bit. Right. You know, give it some time. I'm like, nigga, y'all have known. Don't act like you didn't know this was, you know, it's like elections have consequences. So the folks who've been really pushing ideals for all this time to the black community, y'all need to stop selling books. You know, we need real leadership right now. We don't need you out here pimping books and opportunities. Yeah. You know, MLK wasn't out here trying to make money on the side, you know, for the march on Washington. He was real about it. So we're going to have to get real about it, you know, because I was telling you this, man, the conservatives, it's funny to hear the conservatives talking like the Panthers. Right. You know, They sound like the Panthers.
Grassroots mobilization.
They sound like all these conservative organizations sound like the old school liberal organizations.
Yes.
They out here in the streets, man, and they have just flipped it.
Yeah.
They have flipped it. And honestly, I'm going to say this and I'll let it go. I had hoped that when this was announced, knowing that all these organizations knew this was coming, there's no way for the year that's been on the docket, you knew with these justices, this was coming. Right. I would have hoped they would have had their own separate press conference. The UNCF, NAACP, all of them, the Urban League, a joint press conference, and just said, look, we knew this was coming, and here's our plan.
Right.
And even the Biden administration. But what I'm hearing is, we're going to do something in about 100 days, and then we'll get some thoughts from, the communities. Oh, so what you're saying is it's going to happen, except more books being sold.
Right. I like the way that you put it earlier. The academic versus
it's like back in the day, man. The conservatives were very academic. They were very high level. It's just like I forgot the guy who used to debate James Baldwin all the time. The conservative.
Yeah.
It was all academic, and it was academic versus practical.
Right.
And we were, the organizations that liberals were practical. They were in the streets. They were fighting it out, hand-to-hand combat. Now, honestly, the conservatives have taken it. When I hear conservatives talking like Panthers, I'm like, damn, they want to get rid of the FBI. They're like, I'm serious, dog. It's like the conservative movement. They have taken from the book of the Black Panthers.
Totally.
With the exception of Marxism.
Right. Right. But they are fascists, They
are. Yeah, you're right.
But
it's just, I'm here to tell you, the conservatives have become the new Black Panthers.
Yeah.
And they got power.
Yes.
How can you the white boy, you running shit. How can you be oppressed?
Right. But that's the thing. Once they
I don't know, man. It's great. It's funny to me. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's a couple things and I wanna move on to. So one thing is, we should totally be aware of the fact now that the conservative power base definitely goes for the long play.
Yeah, they do. Absolutely.
They lay in wait for 20 or 30 years to see how, things are, what seeds they planted 30 years ago are now coming to harvest now. And this is the reason why a Roe v. Wade can be overturned. The affirmative action can be overturned because, like you said, little by little, they've been chipping away at this thing. And they understand it's not going to happen. We're not going to see immediate rewards for this policy, but 20 years from now, we will. And that's their plan. We, especially, people with melanin, aren't really looking at the long term because our needs are immediate. We're worried about food, clothing, and shelter. Yeah. So we can't necessarily say, okay, this 20 year I could do that. I could put away $1 a day for 20 years, and at the end of this 20-year plan, we don't do that. Because the way that our things have been designed, the less money you have, the less you can worry about what goes on 20 years from now.
Oh shit! Look, we don't have the luxury, man. We don't have. We don't have. I mean, for lack of a better term, we don't have that savings, man. You're absolutely right. Exactly. Hey, but let's move on, man. What was your big takeaway for the week? Big takeaway.
Big takeaway is
for you personally. Big takeaway.
France is still rioting over the shooting death of Nahal M., a 17-year-old who got caught in a traffic stop. And this is like the third or fourth death that France has had, in these traffic stops, or related to traffic stops. And, these people are frustrated and they're rioting in the streets again. I don't know what it's going to take for us as melanated peoples across the planet, to realize that we are all in the same boat. Yeah. And not only do we need to be doing things, we need to be definitely more forward thinking about how we're setting our families up, but not just our families, where our extended families are going and where we are in the big scheme of things. Because, this melanated hate is not going to stop anytime soon. I agree. Seeing that, from the top down. From the bottom up, I think that we have had some things like TikTok and musics and stuff like that kind of help the younger generations to see where they are in the big scheme of things, so they don't necessarily have all of the friction and all of the hate that their older generations have towards melanated peoples. But but we're still not just doing enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree, man. I think it's a good point. And I think, it's unfortunate, but, it's me and mine. Right. It's unfortunate. And then we have these kind of weeks, right? Here in the States. And it really, it's like, fuck everybody else. I got problems.
right.
But you make a good point. You make a good point. My big takeaway, man, I'm going to lighten it up as we go out, man. Atlanta Hawks fans, y'all stop moaning and crying about John Collins leaving. It's about time. Let me get his showing up on a milk carton ass up out of Atlanta. Nice guy, great with the media, but you never knew what you're gonna get. Some games you get 20, some games get 2. So goodbye. Good luck. You'll probably do better somewhere else. That's all I got to say.
Yeah.
You got something to say about that? Did you?
Man,
I'm sorry. I got it.
Hey, look, man.
I get into Twitter battles all the time. So go ahead.
I've been trying with the Atlanta Hawks forever.
It's tough.
I love
it's tough, man. Because let me. Can I say this real quick? I'm gonna leave it alone. But the Braves have won because the Braves they understand you got to have the best.
Yes.
Ain't no chumminess. Ain't no fan favorites.
Right.
We gonna get the best. And everybody's like, oh, he was such a great guy. We hate to see him. No, dog. That batting percentage. Braves.
Right.
The Braves. When they cut Freddie Freeman, when they let Freddie Freeman go, I said, oh, these motherfuckers for real.
Oh, yes.
They want the championship. They want the championship. But the Hawks got to show me they want it, man. They can't be, hanging on to buddies. No,
what was that? The last time when they had the Joshes in, I was like, oh, yeah, we really gonna do it this time,
Yeah.
And
So. This is what you get. Thank you. Hey, we love your thoughts. Go to Castropolis.net. Choose the people poll. Again, Castropolis.net. Choose the people poll. Leave us a voicemail. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Of course, I'll play the best back. And again, thank you so much, Talib Shabazz. Thank you for taking the time out, man.
Really.
Again, how can people contact you, man? I don't think I ever say that. Where you at? Where you at, man?
Instagram, it's L-Shabazz7 with 2 Z's. If you're on Twitter, it's just L Shabazz, and that's like Spanish, the Shabazz, E-L Shabazz.
Good stuff. And let's go ahead and we're going to take a quick break, and we'll come back with Tonya B with the T. Thank you, Talib.
Thank you.
More. This is the G Podcast after the break.
It's tea time, y'all. Sippin' the tea with Tonya B.
Yes, my children. It's time for a dose of July 4th weekend tea. I am your number one everything Tonya B. Anyway, this is a G podcast. Let's just get right to the tea for this week. I can't even keep up with last week. I got this week. Okay. Now, first of all, everybody's talking about the BET Awards from last Sunday, except maybe me. Let's just cut to the chase, y'all. The high point of the entire program, which was over 3.5 hours, was Busta Rhymes' Lifetime Achievement Award acceptance speech, and the low point we all know was Miss Patty with that mess of a tribute to Tina Turner. I know she's saying she couldn't see the teleprompter, this, that, and the third, but for the time that was spent, no disrespect, Miss Patty, getting your face beat and getting that hair done, you could have at least learned the words to one song. Good Lord, Tina Turner, look, Ike mad about that one. Let's talk about something positive. Let's talk about people getting their roses and their flowers while they yet live. Shout out to Dionne Warwick. She will be in the class of 2023, the recipient for the Kennedy Center honors, and also Queen Latifah, the first female hip hop artist to also get the Kennedy Center's honors recognition. Now, LL Cool J was the first male hip hop artist. We got to give them their roses and their flowers. The 2024 class of the Hollywood Walk of Fame. If you want a star and you got $50,000, you can too. I'm just calling a thing. But some of the inductees of the class of 2024 include actress and activist Cheryl Lee Ralph, Kerry Washington, the late Chadwick Boseman, singers Brandy and Toni Braxton, and Motown legendary singer Martha Reeves. She got her $50,000 up by doing a GoFundMe. Okay, I'm just saying. In terms of these honorary Oscars, I'm just saying that seems like the oops, we messed up award we want to make good. Now, you know, Spike Lee's been a recipient of an honorary Oscar along with Samuel L. Jackson. Next up in that recipient category is Queen Mother Angela Bassett. Yeah, they really messed up on that one. But you know what? She don't need them dresses or them juries. We all know, even if an award comes her way or without an award, Queen Mother Angela is the queen of the big movie screen. Now, contrary to what you may have heard, singers Frankie Beverly and Eddie LeVert of the OJs are very much alive. But if you're down here in the Big Easy at the Essence Festival like I am, oh my goodness. You know what? I'll just say this. No disrespect, but sometimes you got to know when to sit down and when to stay there. And that's all I'm going to say. Well, we've got to pray for pop star Madonna. In case you haven't heard, she was found unresponsive on the floor in her penthouse apartment. Her people are saying it's some kind of bacterial infection, but word from the curb says it might be something else. I'm not going to say. I'm just saying. She's had to postpone that world tour. But Madonna, what's really going on? And another thing, they're talking about Madonna 64. If you were born in the early to mid 50s, you are more than 64. Just do the math. I'm just saying. We also got to pray for Ike Turner Sr. Ike Turner Jr. Ike Sr. is gone on to glory. Ike Turner Jr. got arrested. He tried to ingest some crack cocaine before the cops got to him. I guess it didn't work because had he ingested that much crack, I don't think he'd still be alive today. Let's just hope he gets the help and the prayer that he needs. I will send out some good well wishes to original Sugar Hill Gang member Wonder Mike, who was not present at the Hip Hop is 50 tribute at the BET Awards. Master G was there representing, but I'm hearing that Wonder Mike has had a real health crisis and actually has had a stroke. So, you know what? 5 on it to him. Also praying for Cindy Birdsong. She replaced Florence Ballard in the Supremes. 83 years old, has had several strokes. She's no longer able to speak, and her family is claiming that she's being abused by her caregiver. Well, are you ready for a bunch of biopics, Tommy B? How about Mary J. Blige? She's in negotiations with BET Plus for, she's got to tell the story first and write the book and then make it into a movie. But will she spill all the tea about her issues like the suicide attempts, domestic violence, drug abuse, alcohol abuse, STDs, Casey Haley, her ex-husband? Just like Shaka Khan said, Mary J. Blige has been through the fire, y'all. Another book coming from actress Nia Long. Now, she says she's going to tell her story about being a mother, about her career, the ups and downs of being a black actress in Hollywood. Will she talk about Ime Udoka? Did you know that she was up for a role in Charlie's Angels and she was not given the role because she was told that she looked too old next to Drew Barrymore, who looks older than a whole lot of people we know? I'm like, oh, you know what? Miss me. That was just some hot garbage. That was a diss to Nia Long. Leave her alone. Another book people don't seem to be checking for is Jada Pinkett-Smith, who says she has a book coming out this fall. It's time to tell her story if anybody wants to hear it. Supposedly, she's going to talk about her suicide attempt, as well as taking and selling drugs, alcohol abuse, August Alsina, Tupac. You know, let's just remember her for films like The Matrix, Set It Off, and Girls Trip. And her son Jaden came forward this week talking about that his mother was the one that introduced their family to psychedelic drugs. Really? Y'all might want something need to just stay in the house. Let's talk about the side pieces. Nick Cannon, I don't know if she was I think all his baby mamas and girlfriends are side pieces of somebody, but Jessica White was saying she broke up with him because he was emotionally abusive. Hey, I didn't make it up. Google it. And speaking of side babies, Neo has quite a few. He's got big bills and lots of expenses. And now that the side piece has had the baby and she's asking for the bag, now Neo wants a paternity test. Well, you know, Maury Povich got that new at-home paternity test you can take. But that's right. Neo's out there working. He got bills to pay, kids to take care of, alimony to pay, and all that stuff. And he's also got a $3 million tax bill that he owes to the IRS. Let's talk about Megan Good. She got a gig, y'all. Tyler Perry gave her a gig in a movie he's got coming out, and it's about, what else? Getting divorced. But I hope Megan Good would take her name and put some good on Jonathan Major's situation. Have you read that scandalous expose from the pages of Rolling Stone magazine about Jonathan Majors? They talked to almost 24 people who knew him from college, including ex-girlfriends and classmates, about their experiences with him, and they are not very kind. All I gotta say is he really pissed off somebody in a very high place, and there are people who are just hell-bent on destroying this brother's career. How about we destroy that chick? The last one that got him arrested. How about we destroy... Okay, let me stop. This your girl, Tonya B. This is how we sip the tea each and every Sunday right here on This Is the G Podcast. Don't forget, join us live on Facebook. You can go and download the show. Go to the website, castropolis.net. That's all I got. Ain't got no more. Have a wonderful 4th of July weekend, everybody. Woohoo!
Thank you so much, Tonya B. Y'all know what time it is. Here we go.
What you watching this week, Tommy B?
Man, if you have not watched Extraction 2 on Netflix, I will tell you, run, do not walk, man. I am here to tell you, by far one of the best action picks of 2023. Yeah, I said it. I put it out there. And honestly, I thought I was in a first person, one of these video games, like first person shooter. I hate to say that, but that's what it felt like. Chris Hemsworth and the cast are great. Idris Elba has a big role in it. This is a series that can only get better. So kudos to the folks behind Extraction. It is going to make Chris Hemsworth bigger than Thor could have made him, in my opinion. Just a great series. Y'all know I'm a big fan of Gabrielle Union, right? Huge fan. You know, I go back to 10 Things I Hate About You, Bring It On, Deliver Us from Evil, Being Mary Jane. Man, I've been following her career. I love what she does. I can go on and on. But this Perfect Fine movie on Netflix, it just ain't, I'm going to have to put it like Randy Jackson. It just ain't perfect for me, dog. I ain't the one. So it may have been the direction. I don't know if it was the writing, maybe the lead actor. It just felt awkward. I couldn't get into it. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry, Gabrielle. I still love you. Not one of my favorites in the GU universe, but still, you know, Gabrielle, you're my girl. Okay. And get ready, y'all. August 4th, 2023, the return of The Chi. Yes. Go on and put that out there. The Chi is back. Season 6, one of my favorite, if not the favorite show on television. If you're interested in being part of our Chi Talk blog, hit me up on social media. Y'all know how to reach out to me. Even if you have to go to castropolis.net, leave a voicemail, leave an email. That's cool too. But let's get it done. August 4th, the series is back. And as a matter of fact, Lynn Whitfield, who plays Crazy pretty well. Y'all remember, for the old school folks, when Lynn Whitfield did the Crazy movie with Bobby Brown. I forgot the name of it. It's going to come to me in a minute. But anyway, man, she is joining the cast. So August 4th, mark your calendar. The Chi returns to Showtime, and I am thrilled. I am happy, y'all. Yes. That's my take. What's yours? Share your thoughts and opinions at castropolis.net. Again, go there, hit the orange people poll button. Love to hear what you have to say. Okay. Here's a commentary from our good friend Harold Michael Harvey on this week's affirmative action ruling. Here you go, Mr. Harvey. What you got?
Hey, guys. My most recent article at HaroldMichaelHarvey.com is Too Late for Praying. The Supreme Court gutted affirmative action. And basically, this past week, the United States Supreme Court did away with affirmative action, something that has been in place since about 1972. We get affirmative action as a result of the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And I reflect upon the sense of dread and hopelessness that I felt as a teenager upon learning of the assassination of Dr. King back on April the 4th, 1968. And when I learned in midday about the Supreme Court decision in gutting affirmative action, I had that same sense of dread that all of the, with the assassination of Dr. King, all of the advancements that we had made since the Civil War seemed to have been snuffed out with the life of Dr. King. But then we rebounded and we got our act together and we kept moving. And but the decision this week, gutting affirmative action, I felt that same sense of dread that all that we had accomplished since the assassination of Dr. King has been taken away. So I think we need to reflect upon that and regroup and figure out how we are going to regroup again and gain the rights that we are entitled to as citizens of the United States of America.
Thank you so much, Harold Michael Harvey. Go to HaroldMichaelHarvey.com for the full article. Thank you so much again. And we want to hear from you. All the things we've talked about this week, go to Castropolis.net. Hit the people poll button, voice your opinion, or you can check us out on social media, leave us comments. And if you leave us a nice voicemail, we may hook you up with something. Go to Castropolis.net. Choose the people poll. I'm going to say it right. The people poll. Choose the people poll, y'all. Leave us a voice message and I'll play it back. I'll play back the best. Also, don't forget video and audio YouTube launches every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern. Look for us at This Is the G Podcast. Again, at This Is the G Podcast. And if you're looking for us on Twitter, which is having its problems, y'all. Yes, Twitter's having some issues, but you can find us at This Is the G Pod. Share us with your friends. Don't cost you nothing. Keep doing it. Appreciate y'all for doing it. As always, thank you, Mike. Thank you, Vi. Thank you, Tonya B, Talib, Harold Michael Harvey. And before I end the show, prayers go out, man, as we're taping. All this stuff is going down, man. Our peeps in Baltimore. Horrific mass shooting at a block party, leaving 2 dead, 28 injured. Wow. And of those injured, they're critical, those in critical condition, there are multiple. So we don't know where the death toll will eventually end, but I will tell you, man, we got to put an end to this. I'm not going to get on my soapbox, but y'all pray for those folks. And we hope that there's some kind of solution to this coming soon because, again, we're in summer. It's heating up and this is absolutely tragic. Okay. And with that, episode 182 is in the can. Have a safe, emphasis on safe, y'all, Independence holiday, peace and power to the people.
You've been listening to the G Podcast with your host, Tommy B. The G Podcast is a production of the Castropolis Podcast Network. Thanks for listening.